Well, I started in 1980 at the Fabulous Moolah. I went there and trained for about a year, and I was there at Moolah's for about 6 years. And she sent me several places. I went to Japan under her booking 12, 13 times, Europe a few times, Africa, Malaysia, and Moolah was with me on some of these trips up in New York and Malaysia, and I think once in Europe. I'm not really sure about that.
So you got to travel the world with Moolah. Were you ever pimped out, and was Moolah a pimp? Were you ever made a prostitute and was Moolah your pimp?
No, she was not a pimp. She was my booker. She booked me for a certain percentage, and all this about her being a pimp, it just makes me just almost sick inside, because that's saying that I was pimped out by the Fabulous Moolah. She was nothing but a businesswoman, a shrewd one, a very shrewd one at that. But as far as this pimping, that is a big bunch of bullshit. I went down there with Florida State Wrestling. Luna and I went down there, and then Percy Pringle was down there, and they brought in Lady Maxine to wrestle, and he was my uncle, you know. And that's how that come about. I did not leave with Lady Maxine to go down to Florida. We ended up working down to Florida, but that's as far as that went. There's no solidarity in leaving Moolah's because she was a pimp and all that, because, like I said before, that is just a bunch of hogwash.
Luna also had something to say in an interview, alleging that she went to a doctor's house and had to take pictures. She was underage, she alleged, at the time, and was sent by Moolah. Now, again, we spoke about it, and you said that Luna was not underage at the time that she worked for Moolah, and you knew a little bit about that doctor as well.
Yeah, I think it was Dr. Goldstein, and he liked women's wrestling, and he liked to take photos of them. And Moolah would just, you know, approach the girl and ask them would they like to go out there. I was never asked, but I mean, you know, he has a certain type that he liked. You know, the smaller girls, and I'm just a big old, you know, big girl, but he liked the smaller ones. But I know several of them that went out there to take pictures. Candy Malloy, Winona Little Heart, several of them. And not one of them told me that he'd done anything derogatory in any way or mentioned anything about sex or anything like that. So, and Luna, when Luna got there, she'd already had 2 children at that time, and she was going through a divorce with her husband, and she come to Moolah's, and of course, you know, she got trained and all, but she was in her 20s when she got to Moolah. She wasn't 16. I know several people, like Ernie Van Gelder, he always liked the bigger girls. You know, you walk into his room, he lives over in Amsterdam, he has a room full of pictures of he liked me and Leilani Kai and Susan Green, Despina Montagas. He liked the bigger girls, but he never ever approached me about having sex or pimping out or anything like that. He was just a big wrestling fan. And that's all Dr. Goldstein was. He just liked women wrestling. And with Dr. Goldstein, any of the women that were asked by Moolah were never forced to go. It was their choice. She just laid it out on the table. He'd like to bring you there and take pictures, and they could say yeah or nay. Just, you know, so it was up to them. It's their choice. Their choice. What would you like to say to Snickers and also the fans that have signed the petition saying that Moolah was a pimp, but especially Snickers, that basically influenced the decision for the WWE to pull Moolah's name from the Battle Royal at WrestleMania? Well, I'm disturbed about it. I'm upset about the fact that Snickers can come in and put down an icon like the Fabulous Moolah that they don't even know anything about. And the fact that they're saying that all the girls that wrestled and trained and worked under her were prostitutes, that just gets my blood to boiling. I mean, it really does. I've worked with her for you know, like I said, from the 80 to 85, 86, and not one time was I ever approached, and not one time of all the girls that come there, like Susan Green and just different people, not one of them, Paula Kay, not one of them ever said anything about being pimped out by the Fabulous Moolah. And Moolah, She is an icon. If it weren't for Moolah, women's wrestling wouldn't be where it's at now. She's told me stories back when she was living, and I got there, about her wrestling for $15 a match. $15. She was a slave girl, a valet. And she'd go into a place and order ketchup and hot soup and eat crackers. Her heart, all it was wrestling and women and being strong. And she was a very strong woman. Very strong, very smart. And the fact that they're saying that, it just really pisses me off. And I think Snickers should apologize to Moolah's family. She's not alive no more, God rest her soul. And I think they should apologize to her fans, because that is not right, that they're taking away the legacy of the Fabulous Moolah.